This is about the United States Navy and diversity. In a prior video, I mentioned what almost everyone who's observant, half observant, knows. There are proportionately fairly few dark-skinned airline pilots on commercial flights, and we rarely see them, but that's true in the United States Navy as well. Why? It is not present-day racism. It's the legacy of some racism, and that's a big difference. It's a big difference in understanding our history, and it's a big difference in blaming or not blaming racism at work now. Racism was present in the past, and 50 years ago, African Americans enlisting in the Navy were not encouraged to go the route of pilot. Okay? That was a prejudice and almost certainly an unfair one by military brass. Since then, African Americans have discouraged themselves from going for that position. They enlist in the Navy in very high numbers, but are doing other vital things. But on the back end, they won't get as many airline pilot private commercial positions as the white guys who put in their 20, 25 years as pilots. Is that fair? It's a tough call. It's a tough call because the legacy of racism has produced a disparate result, one that very few of us are happy with. However, are we more happy with a government that forces a different result? If right now African Americans are still a little bit fearful, or just it's not in their description to go forward and say, I want to work so fiercely hard to be a Navy pilot, and instead I want to work just as hard to be an engineer for those pilots, a service person for those pilots, a computer technician for those pilots to keep them safe. If that's the direction, it's very worthy. Now, it leaves the pool of pilots not as diverse. But diversity in and of itself is not a strength. It's not a weakness either. Skin color diversity is a neutral. It's like the difference between, or among, I should say, beige skin, brown skin, mahogany skin. No difference between the airlines outside of silver, gray, blue. It's that superficial. It should be anyway. So if we look to government to artificially put people who are not coming forward, or who are coming forward but are far less talented, I'm not sure that's the right place, and I think the right people to ask are those very pilots who they would be colleagues of. And I am quite certain that to a man, every current fighter pilot in the Navy, upon learning that the black co-pilot is the best at picking off enemy shrapnel, avoiding, keeping his squad safe, he's going to say, bring that guy on. Let that black guy be my captain. So please recognize the difference, and that diversity alone of skin color doesn't add anything. Diversity of talents does. Diversity in terms of mindset, because collaboration of different opinions is probably safer, gets you a better result. And certainly diversity of talents, you absolutely need that. But please recognize that is divorced from diversity of skin color. And by the way, I try hard, you saw me struggle there, to lose the term black and white. Okay? Nobody has a skin color of black and nobody has a skin color of white. Those are extremes that no human on the planet ever could be truly categorized that way. And it's an in-between hue, and it's superficial, and that's all it is. African Americans often have a culture attached, but it's not inherently attached. It's individualized. Latino Americans have a culture often attached. Once again, individualized, there are separations, and naturally white Americans too have a wide variety of interests, backgrounds, mindsets. That's diversity we should always seek, but not skin color alone. I'm Mark Stewart.